I must come again. The champion must stand. It can only be one of us. Victorious. So stand up and up, my friend. There's a title you must defend. Shut it on and on. Bring it to me. Defend your
Oh my God, you caught me in the middle of an air drum rock session. Hello, everybody. It's your old pal, Cool Breeze, Cool Sneeze, I should say. It's Andy Fiore. This is another episode of, I hope, your favorite podcast and mine. It's the DYM podcast, everybody. Joining me, as always, it's the Dutchicide squad. Oh, my goodness gracious, Heloise. We'll have to dip into that later. But my co-host, my pal, my amigo, Mr. Sean Donnelly, everybody.
How are you? You started the show like a 1980s teenager, just rocking out in your bedroom, just with your warrant poster on the wall, just dreaming one day of playing arenas and stuff like that.
You just threw some darts and hit the bullseyes on a bunch of I had warrant posters. I had hair metal posters carpeting my walls, if that's possible. And I gave rock concerts to nobody when I was a kid.
Wait, so when did you go from Metalhead to Hippie?
Well, this is the mid 80s, you know. This is
right,
mid to late 80s. So I would say probably mid to mid 90s. I saw The Dead for the first time in 95, summer 95. Same with Fish. But yeah. I actually never went to a hair metal or a hair band concert. I would love to. But
well, what's funny is I remember when I was like pre-teenage years, when you're 12 and like probably 13, I was like, I think every 13-year-old is into the Doors. Like, you think the Doors is like a big deal.
One of my first albums.
Yeah, same here. And then on top of that, I was really into Aerosmith for like 3 years.
Yeah,
I loved Aerosmith, and to the point when
fences here,
because there was a point where they came back with Janie's Got a Gun. Yes. People my age were like, this is a new band. Like, I didn't even know that they were like that about, you know, all the older albums and stuff like that.
Dream On
Sweet Emotions
sounds like a different singer altogether.
It does. It totally does.
It sounds like a completely different band. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. So, but when you're a kid, you're like I remember my first encounter with knowing what the Sex Pistols were was
was late for me.
Well, no, just, you know, it was old for me too. Like, I wasn't around the time of the Sex Pistols. I'm not that old, Andy. But I remember the first time I even heard the name is almost like out of a movie. It was written in pen on the back of a bus seat, like a school bus seat. Like, it was written, somebody wrote it like in that like Sex Pistols font thing on the back. And I'll never forget it. There was a hole in the seat. In the writing, I'm not in the writing, right below the writing, it said Sex Pistols, and then somebody just carved out a hole. And I remember being like, what the hell is the Sex Pistols?
Yeah.
And then I somehow found out through somebody else, or I don't think I knew the music right away, because back then you couldn't just go on Spotify and be like,
no,
I think it's a band. Like, it could have been anything. And then I was like, oh, this is what that is.
On the internet.
You couldn't go on the internet at all. Exactly. So you had to find out naturally a lot of stuff, you know?
Yeah, that's funny, because a lot of my early graffiti too was just drawing band names and band logos. You know how many times I tried to draw that Red Hot Chili Peppers logo? I could never get it level and straight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
My notebooks were lit. My backpack. Did you guys do the? We would take the white out and mark up our backpacks, our JanSports with white out of just our favorite band names.
Yes, absolutely, we would do that. And then also, you would get, by the time you were in middle school or high school, you would get the plain big binder, and that would just have pen and white out and whatever else all over it.
Littered. Oh, I wish I could go back and see some of mine. Oh my God. What a loser. I would have loved to see.
It's like, you know what that is? It's like the hieroglyphics of your psyche as a teenager. It's like, it would be like, they'd be like those archaeologists that go into caves and they see like these like rudimentary drawings, but you would just be like, what was because, you know, you're not going to therapy as a kid for the most part.
Yeah. They would just look at mine and go, clearly we have a virgin here. That lasted until, I would say, at least 18 years old by these markings.
all the drawings just have they have giant boners. All these drawings,
Oh yeah.
they have long hair, a guitar, and just a giant hard on. Just a giant
penises were a large part of my high school
yeah.
art repertoire too. But I didn't do it on my own. If you walked away from your desk and you sat in a 4 feet vicinity of me, you were getting a dick drawn on something.
Absolutely. that was just a go-to. Like because think about it, man.
I could knock one out in under 2 seconds.
Not you're the David Blaine of dick drawings, just street magic of dick drawings,
which also foreshadowed my real life sex life
too. 2 minutes becomes a theme in Andy's life. No, but I really think if you think about right, you're even saying like what the thought process was. I think I even told you, but I always wanted to do a joke about like the idea where it's like all you're thinking about, and you don't know it when it's happening because it's just taking over your psyche. All you're thinking about is your boners all you're thinking about is how it's such a new and exciting world. For the first 10 years you're getting them, so you're like your whole idea, and then the hormone level is through the roof. Your hormone level is just through the top of your head. So it makes sense that guys are drawing dicks. You're thinking about like it's not dick. How many dicks is that?
That's a lot of dicks.
He goes a lot. He just got a lot.
That's what made it hard to go to a all boys high school there. Because
oh my god, yeah.
If you can imagine the embarrassment of a co-ed high school and just like getting up and having an inadvertent boner, you can imagine the downpour of insults if you ever got caught in an all boys school.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude.
Just shaming you out of the room.
I learned the belt tuck-in method real early.
You just pulled the Silence of the Lambs real quick. You just tucked.
No, the under your
no, I know. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You just Buffalo Billed it on the way to the bathroom and
Buffalo Billed it in front of Father Atkinson's religion class. Did you do my homework? I did my homework.
No, but I think that man, it's just everything is so new and exciting. Almost like how when you're a babe, like every I always like there's a couple of friends of mine have like brand new babies, and they're like like a guy. I don't think you knew him. This guy Peter Moses, who used to do comedy.
I know John.
Great guy. I know John Moses as well, but Peter used to do comedy, and he's talking like we just took our baby who's like 6 months old. His baby's we just took him to like the beach for the first time.
Yeah.
And then he's like, we went in the water with the baby. And I was like, can you imagine? Like, you don't even know how to comprehend. What'd you say?
Keep talking, I can hear you.
Oh, all right. You don't even know when you're a baby, you don't even know like what it's such a foreign substance. Like it's one of those things where you're like, wait, what is this? Like first off, what is sand? And then you're in the water with like your mom holding you, but you're still like, what is going on there? We're like in the ocean and it's like there's a different like equilibrium and it must be so strange, but you don't have the presence of mind as a baby to go, this is water and we're at the beach and everything's okay. But almost like you're wondering, like, do little things like that cause like micro traumas in your life where you're like, maybe that's what forms your phobias and that's what forms what you're kind of scared of later on.
Maybe, baby. That's when I think when you finally pop for the first time. That's a weird new substance where you're going, holy geez Louise, what is all this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Can I tell you this? I've never had a wet dream.
I have. It's first off, it's fantastic. But I think I've had, but I had a sex dream. Wet dreams are sex dreams, but it's like, no. What'd you say?
No, there's no wet to my sex.
No nocturnal emission.
Correct.
Dude, I think in my life, I know I've had one. I think I've maybe had two.
Yeah.
And honestly, they're fantastic, but I think they're like, it's like Aurora Borealis. Like they don't show up that often, dude. It's like, it's the Haley's comic of your dick. Like it doesn't
every 86 years.
Every 86 years you're getting a wet dream. Like I don't think if you're a guy on a regular basis who's getting wet dreams, you're not getting out of bed. Let's be honest. Like you're just not, you don't have to live life at that point. You know what I mean? Like you really don't have to do anything.
My friend Steve one time dated this girl he was in love with in high school. They both lost their virginity to each other. Loved her forever. She eventually went to college. She was a grade ahead of us. And after college, we all lived in the city, and he was still in love with her. Went home with her one night. He goes, yeah, wanted to have sex with her, but she's just not into it. He goes, and I woke up and I had a wet dream in her bed in her apartment.
Ooh.
I go, what did you do? He goes, I just left.
Oh my God.
I go, yeah, dude. That's a tough one.
But it's also a thing where it's like, how quantity wise, I don't know if that would, it's not like peeing in the bed. It's not the same thing.
I don't know. I can't tell you.
Jesus. Does he have like porno level styles of,
I mean, maybe it was
ejaculate
contained to his boxers and underwear or whatever, but I don't know. I know he was very embarrassed, and it's something
I think it's more of a, that sounds like more of a shame factor than it is.
Oh yeah. He's a very shameful kid.
Can't like, think about how you can't explain that away. You can't go, no, it wasn't me. Because it's like people think like, no, it's gotta be you. Like, that's the way this works.
Who cares? But also, she already seen it all, and she's done it all with you. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think it's just that immediate. You go, oh crap! What the hell did I do? And you're in somebody's bed.
Yeah, it's that shame factor of going, I feel uneasy at this point.
The most shame he probably got from it was us then making fun of him afterwards.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, just relentless. Absolutely, 100%. I think.
Sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'll tell you right now. I think one of the things that can lead to having a wet dream, like, don't jerk off for a long time, and then I think your body has to go, okay, I have to get it out somehow, and then it just does it.
Yeah. Well,
but we might be
maybe a blue ball situation. What could have happened with him there?
Yes, absolutely.
So,
but or it's a thing where we're at an age now. We're both in our 40s. It's a situation where maybe hormone level, it doesn't happen as much because it's not at the forefront of your brain as much as it was.
No. You think we got low T?
I'm just trying, not low T, but less T. Less T.
Less T.
Let's be honest. When you're a teenager, you're Mr. T, and then you've
got high T.
You got high T. You got high T at noon with the Queen when you are a teenager. That is all what you're thinking of, and but I think it's also chemical of why you're thinking. It's chemical, and then the older you get. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's still there. It's still present, but maybe not enough to have a wet dream. You know what I mean?
Mr. T. Hey, woman, you want a real champ? You want a real boner? You want a real T? I
pity the fool doesn't help me ejaculate. Like that's
a
bad,
paper
Mr. T.
Well, sorry I had to run. I had to get my water there. I hate to tell you guys this, but I'm okay. But I was at the beach for 2 weeks. I was off, and your old pal Cool Breeze caught a little case of the COVID. So I'm down and out until Saturday. I should be good tomorrow when you hear this. I feel fine. Thank God for the vaccines. If you don't believe in science, look at me, for example, because I tested positive, and if it weren't for the social responsibility of it, I feel completely 100% fine. I have a small cough. I lost my smell. I just got my smell back like an hour ago. I had the revelation where I was like, I can smell again.
Oh, wow.
I live alone, mind you. I shouted that to nobody. But it was just I was like, there it is. It's back. And so, I mean, other than that, I don't want to downplay it, obviously, but it didn't hit me at all. I was almost asymptomatic, but I think that's in large part, obviously, due to the vaccine. So please go get it, for Christ's sakes.
Just go get the thing, because let's be honest, like you don't know, like you're within the age that, could it have been the same thing? Yeah. But why take the chance? Like, why? There's a very good chance that this thing helped tamper it down to what it was for you.
Yeah. Now I know you guys look at me and go, Andy, you're in pretty good shape over there, just doing the eyeball test.
You're a healthy young lad.
But still, I mean, I got high blood pressure. I got less T here, so you never know how these things are going to affect you. It's a very arbitrary disease. So,
is estrogen a catalyst for COVID? But we're glad you're okay, buddy. And I think you're right. I think there's a chance that you could have been fine otherwise, but I'm glad that you have it. So it's like, just to be on the safe side. Why take the chance? And on top of it, you're doing the right thing by being like, let me go on lockdown for a few days until this thing shakes out. Like,
so Yeah,
It's
which
kind
was
of a-
good 'cause
it's
I got
kind of a
spots Saturday night,
no-brainer.
and they were like, yeah, Saturday you're good if you're asymptomatic. I'm like, perfect. I can go back out Saturday again.
And let's be honest, man. If you met us, you know us. Everybody who's listening at this point, we're not crazy COVID mandate people. We're not on a soapbox. This is literally a real life thing that
I
happened.
just want you guys to live and be happy.
The amount of times that these people were outspoken about not getting this thing and they've died, and on their deathbed they've gone, get the vaccine, should be evidence enough for people to go, oh shit.
Right. So I'm okay. It's good. I'm so happy to be smelling again. It's a weird sensation that I've never had before, the loss of sense of smell. And I was after I got it back, I was walking around smelling all the smelliest things in my apartment, like taking my deodorant cap off. I'm going over to the spice rack, sniffing everything. I'm going, yeah, it's back, baby.
You're just farting into fans.
Farting up a storm over here just for the pure enjoyment of it.
Just farting into a fan so we get shot right back into that gullet. Yeah.
But the beach was great, man. It was nice to get away. I was swimming at the ocean every day, and 4 hours in this chop, and I'm an inch taller.
Andy, 4 hours in this chop, I have COVID.
Yeah, seriously. Well, that's the thing. I mean, not a mask in sight. I didn't put one on for two straight weeks. I went to 2 Fish concerts on Atlantic City Beach with 40,000 other people. That might have been the spot where it happened. Just a bunch of hippies running around with no mask.
Just by the sheer art of statistics. Let's say that's where it happened.
Doctor goes, "You think you can narrow it down?" I go, "I think I can. I think I can pinpoint it, Doc." Not only was I at a fish show with thousands of other hippies, I was at Atlantic City Fish Show.
Doc, this may be a shot in the dark, but maybe just I don't know. I mean, hypothetically, I could have gotten it at this gigantic concert.
Hypothetically, it could have come from anywhere. But
we're glad you're okay, buddy, and we're glad you had a good time relaxing during the summer.
Oh, it was nice.
And
how about
with
that
all
bracket? That bracket show was a big hit.
Big hit. We didn't get it. We didn't get everybody the blank bracket.
I can't find it. I'm sorry. I'll look again. But I was also on vacation. I gave it a cursory search and I couldn't come up with it. I'll look again. But I had that in an old email from like 3 years ago. I was cleaning out my emails and I saw the bracket thing that we never got to. And I said, hey, let's resurrect this thing. So it might be gone forever. But do a Google search. Most rewatchable movie bracket. You'll find something. Or come up with your own. That would be a fun thing for the Dimwit Nation to do. If you guys want to do your own bracket, put together, because there was a lot of things on there. I go, how is this on here ahead of this? Or they left off this movie. This movie's not on. So maybe that's a fun end of summer project for the Dimwits. So come up with your own, and maybe if we find one we like, we'll do it on air.
Do this. How about do this? We'll do come up with your own one, like your own side of a bracket, like your own there
you go, a quadrant
of a bracket, and then we'll just put them all together because it's hard to do a whole entire thing.
Hard to come up with 64. I mean,
unless you do random matchups.
Could be a lot of the same movies though.
It could, yeah, that's true. Yeah, so maybe make your own bracket system. That was a really fun episode. We had Gordon was fantastic. We were in the studio for those, but due to Sicky McSicky's, we'll be back next week in the studio. But dude, yeah, I haven't seen you in so long because you were beach bound, and so I'm guessing you watched some stuff, but I don't know if you had time or not.
I watched a lot. I watched, some days at the beach. You're there for 2 weeks. It's gonna rain, so I had a lot of downtime. I watched 3 new movies. I watched a little bit of a documentary series, and I also, before we get into that, kind of movie related in a weird way, and I'll tell you how, is that we should mention R.I.P. Maybe the top 3 favorite bands of all time: Rolling Stones. Charlie Watts, original, longtime drummer, passed away. And I only relay this message because you guys all know this information by now, but the Stones are maybe, I don't want to say but would you say one of the most used bands in movie soundtracks in history?
1,000%.
Yeah. No Scorsese.
I would make the guess and the bet that they're the most used band in movie soundtracks.
Yeah,
that's got to be. Besides that,
any Vietnam movie you're getting, Give Me Shelter.
Maybe Led Zeppelin, or maybe
I'm gonna give it to Stones on that.
I think Stones got it, and then on top of it, it's one of those things that
Maybe do a quick search. Just get most used bands and movie soundtrack history.
It's got to be the Stones. The only other thing I can think of is like the one song of Peter Gabriel's Salisbury Hill being used in 50 different movies. So he would take the title just off like a fluke like that, where
multiple songs here. I mean, Scorsese alone puts the Stones in the top bracket because he uses them multiple times every movie almost.
Absolutely. So I think hands down they're the best. And also, even besides movies, man, like commercials and TV things. Think about the Apple commercials had Stone songs in them. But it's good you brought up Charlie Watt, because a friend of ours, a Jersey guy, speaking of Jersey, this guy, Ken Krantz, who runs his own music podcast, really funny comic from Jersey. And he posted a thing on Facebook that I thought was such a great story. I wanted to relay it, but I wanted to give him credit because it's an urban myth story. I think he even prefaces it by saying he hopes it's true. It's one of those like rock and roll stories you hear. Apparently, back in this has got to be the 60s or the 70s. I'm guessing the 60s. And there's a whole heated argument going on between Mickey, what's his name? No, fucking Keith Richards and Mick Jagger.
Yes.
And I don't know why I blanked out on that. And Charlie Watt's in the room. And during the argument, Mick Jagger refers to Charlie Watt as my drummer. You've heard this story?
I have. And
apparently Charlie Watt just quietly gets up. Watts, whatever.
Wow.
Watts. Gets up from his chair, leaves the room, goes to his room, takes a shower, puts on a suit, grabs a steak dinner, finishes, goes upstairs to Mick Jagger's room, knocks on the door. Mick Jagger opens the door, puts out a little smile, and just knocks him out. Just gives him one punch and just knocks him to the floor and says, don't ever forget, I'm not your drummer, you're my singer. Don't ever forget that, or something like that, whatever it was. But I think it's such a cool story. And what's the version that you've heard?
Variation.
What's the variation? So it's probably not true then.
I heard, this one came from somebody posted from Keith, and he said one night Mick and I were out and Charlie Watts was already asleep, and Mick called him up very drunk saying, "Where's my drummer? I need my drummer. I want my drummer to come out with us." And they got back to the hotel room, and I heard that Mick Jagger was wearing Keith Richards' jacket that he got married in. And when Charlie Watts came down in the middle of the night after they got home, he knocked him out. He punches him, and he landed on like one of those big catering trays, those wheels with wheels on them, those trays. And he was sliding out a window, and Keith ran over and grabbed him and pulled him back in Amsterdam. And he had to hold back Charlie Watts because he was so fumed. In the same quote, he goes, "Just remember," he goes, "don't ever call me your drummer again." I never heard the second part of it. I just thought he was heated over the my drummer thing. But then Keith goes, they go, "What'd you grab? What'd you go and risk your life and grab Mick for?" He goes, "Well, I like that jacket."
That's pretty good.
But I mean, knowing Keith Richards, 75% of that was made up. So who the hell knows?
Yeah, right. It's also like, I don't think he has a fair recollection of things.
She said there's no official answer, but the consensus is Rolling Stones.
It's got to be Rolling Stones. There's got to be a Reddit for it or something saying Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
The other thing is, can we just, now that he's passed, RIP, I was trying to think for years who he looked like, because I never really thought about Charlie Watts that much. He looks like John Waters. Charlie Watts looks just like John Waters. I think they have the same vibe to themselves. Also, Charlie Watts always reminded me of Fred from the Howard Stern show.
Yeah,
they have similar looks as well. I think I always put they always, and you know what it is? I think it's Vincent Price face. I think if you have Vincent Price face,
yes,
and then you have any kind of deviation of that, I think if you go down that same family tree of like almost like look like, even if you don't have a pencil thin mustache, you look like you should have one. You know what I mean? Like
right.
You look like a pencil thin mustache. Like there he is. Like you put a pencil thin mustache on that photo we're looking right now of Charlie Watts, it doesn't miss a beat. Like we could show you that photo for 5 seconds and then wait a couple minutes, and then I'll say, did he have a pencil thin mustache? And you wouldn't be able to tell me yes or no.
That picture's following me around the room wherever I move.
The Mona Lisa of Rolling Stones photographs.
But speaking of the beach, before we get to the movies, I've been watching 100 Foot Wave. Have you seen this on HBO? By the way,
no, but I want to watch it. It's like a reality series, or no? What is it?
It's a documentary about this. It's going back 10, 12 years now. This guy Garrett McNamara, who I got to say is not the most likable person to have a documentaries over. He's just an odd guy. Then they kind of get into why he's the way he is, and you go, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's engaging. I like it. It's cool to see these big wave surfers, and they're, just, I can't imagine the adrenaline these guys have and chasing that. A lot of them are like, what do I do now? Like, some of these guys get hurt, injured. The adrenaline rush of riding a 75-foot huge wave in Portugal, once you've reached that apex of adrenaline, like some of these guys age out of surfing big waves or they get injured, obviously. You go, what's going to match that for the rest of your life, excitement-wise? Because it's like, it's almost a depressing thing to think about, because if you've got this huge rush of surfing these incredible, like, death-defying waves, and then you just go, I got to be a plumber now for the rest of my life.
I got to be completely honest, man. I kind of relate to them in a way, because this one time I had Burger King 3 times in one day.
That wasn't adrenaline you were feeling.
No, that was cholesterol. And
stroke.
I got to be honest. Like I had the same thought process. I said, where do I go from here? I said, this is the mountaintop. Yeah. I totally 100 foot wave surfers, and
you're one and the same.
Yeah, I don't think you could understand it really. There's a brethren thing that happens.
Twice.
There's a brethren thing that happens when you do achieve this like nirvana like euphoria of being like, this is my life goal. It's almost like finding out the meaning of life in a way. You know what I mean?
I think you're in a coma. I can't really. Did you actually breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Burger King one time?
No, I did it. I'm not a psychopath. I had everything was afternoon.
So
I had a 12, 3, and 8. I had 3.
I wasn't there for the breakfast.
What do you? I'm not a monster. What do you think?
I'm not animale.
Animale. Really,
worth it. I haven't finished it yet. I'm excited.
I should watch it just to relive that high. I should watch it to relive that feeling. Yeah.
Or supersize me, I think. That might be right up your alley.
Supersize me as my 100 foot wave. That's funny. I watched something, or you were mentioning a TV thing, streaming thing. I watched a show. I'm on the 2nd season of it now, but it doesn't matter. It's one of these shows that like reboots every season. It's a different story every season.
Ooh.
And I thought, I'm going to sound very, I don't want to sound misogynistic here when I say that. I thought it was like, hey, it's a chick show. That's what I thought it was. But I watched this show called Dirty John. I don't know if you've seen it.
I don't know if I've ever even heard of it.
It's based off a podcast of like a real life crime situation, but it's pretty true to life. But I got to be honest, there's an actress in it who's been in Nashville, and she's famous from like a bunch of stuff over her career. Her name is Connie Britton.
Yes. I know Connie.
Okay. Now, here's the thing, man. I don't know what made her famous. I forget. I don't know where she came from. Friday Night Lights. Okay, there you go. I'm going to say it right here. Extensively, I've talked about actresses and actors we appreciate on this show. I talked about Juliana Nicholson and how I think that they should just give her an Oscar for what she did in Mare of Easttown. I know it's TV, but just give her the Oscar for it, because that's how fucking good the acting was, right? But we also have to, we should explore the dark side. I am going to say it here. I'm going to make a blanket statement. I don't care. This is going to be my Dice Clay edgy moment. Connie Britton stinks. Connie Britton stinks. I don't know who is saying this is a talent. The intent of the acting of Connie Britton in these shows, and I'm not a fan. I started Friday Night Lights. I didn't finish it. Maybe I could be proven wrong that way. I watched her. What? Yeah, it's
corny. I couldn't get
corny.
into it. Dan Shackleton goes, "That's great. You gotta just give it a chance." I gave it a chance. I bailed.
Nah, exactly. Now I'm watching. You know why I didn't like her performance in this? Now maybe it was true to life to the actual woman but I didn't. That could be if I saw almost like when you watch one of the things that's very impressive about The Fighter, the movie, which is the David O. Russell movie with Mark Wahlberg and about Mickey Ward,
Christian
the
Bale.
boxer, right? It's a great movie, a little bit corny at times, but it's a great movie. Christian Bale, you watch them side by side. They show you that clip of the brother. They show you the brother at the end of it, and you're like, oh, he just kind of mirrored this guy, and did a really great job of it. That could be the case here, and if it is, I will be proven wrong. But the type of acting she did in this show was, I knew it was a true life story, but the whole time I'm thinking, oh, she's got something up her sleeve at the end of this. But the character that she's playing in the climate that we're in now really is an antiquated, like, I'm a helpless woman. They almost show her getting her shit together during it. And if that's the way the story went, that's the way it went. It's true life. I get it. But the acting job she does makes you think there's some kind of plan when there's really not. Like, it's very misleading a lot of the time. And also, I don't think if what she was trying to convey is somebody who was caught was a victim of an aggressive situation and not somebody who like had enough is enough and then went and took a shot and got out of a bad situation using their own means because the cops couldn't help because this guy was circumventing the system and all that, right? That's how I thought it was going to be, but it was just a very random true life brutality abuse type situation that was very straightforward, but that's not what she was pulling off in the performance. Like I said, could I be wrong? Could she have nailed this woman's cadence and this woman's state of mind? Yeah,
she's played in her whole career. I mean, she was essentially a Texas housewife of a football coach for 10 seasons on Friday Night Lights. It doesn't seem like she's got much range.
Yeah, and honestly,
Connie, you're out.
Even for that, like the second season of this has Amanda Peet in it, right? And Amanda Peet, who I never really thought much of, does a phenomenal job of kind of playing a very similar type of role, right? And
all right, keep your towel on.
I know I'm getting very adamant, but yeah.
Towel on. It's Amanda Peet. All right,
that was pretty good.
Keep your towel. All right, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's one of my favorite moments of the show.
Right, Amanda Peet. Yeah, it's Amanda Peet in that episode.
That's Amanda Peet. You're right. Yeah. She walks around naked with what was the guy's name that she lived with?
I think John.
No, it wasn't John. Was it John? It was no, because he references the name. He goes, I want to be. He goes, he doesn't have to do any of the relationship stuff. He just gets the sex. What is his name? And he goes, and the guy comes in and he's great. He looks like Jason Momoa. He's all jacked and shit. Anyway, so my point being is that one thing that's not being said with the amount of great acting that's going on these days on TV and movies by women or by whoever. I'm not just saying, oh, it's a woman thing, because there's guys who act terribly as well. Of course, like, that's just we just mentioned one. Mark Wahlberg is, unless you're putting him in a role where he's a dummy, he just kind of screws things up.
What? No, I watched what? No, you showed it to me 8 billion times.
Is it not that one of the greatest? It's on par with.
It's funny to me.
It's on par with. Have you ever seen the show? I try to convey that to people. Oh, that was a COVID wheeze right there.
Yeah, a little. I still got a little bit. Excuse me. Yeah, I was watching TV. It was a rainy beach day. Lyle is his name. Damn it.
Lyle.
And
yes. I should have remembered that.
The Happening came on and down the beach, and I had to watch it. And just for that one scene, it's such a bad movie. I mean, here's the thing. So I, was by myself at the time, and I went up to go to the bathroom, and I was sitting there for like 10 minutes, and just all of a sudden I hear from the other room, "What? No!" And I'm on the toilet. I go, "I missed it." And I heard it. Dude, I have shown people that. I've reacted to stuff like that now. I thank you for bringing that into my life. It's a part of my lexicon now.
Great.
I just love it so
glad to
much.
hear it. I'm glad to hear it.
No. It's so funny to me. His little kid reaction.
We've talked about it before on the show when I first told you about it. I think we watched it live on the show. What it brings up for me, just from a producer, a director, an acting standpoint, what it brings up for me is, how did that get under the radar? How is that the take?
That was the best one that they got.
I don't think it was. I think it was a thing of. I guess it had to be, because if you're him, if you're not paying attention to any of it, if you're the editor and you're him and you're M. Night Shyamalan, how are you not turning around and going, "Oh, we can't leave that in there. We can't do that." What do you?
Yeah, it was either that or it was like the third AD, and he was really under a time crunch. He goes, "We got to wrap up by 5, or I'm in really big trouble." He goes, "That's fine. That's why we'll go wrap."
I believe that the most out of all of it. I believe that it was a let's get this done, beat the clock scenario.
Yeah.
Wow. Such a great scene.
But watched a lot of movies over the vacay. Watched some interesting things. Some stuff that's kind of not on the radar for, I want to say, the majority of people watching movies out there. I'll start with one. I don't even know if have you ever heard of John and the Hole?
No.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I watched Dirty
little
John.
Film here.
John and the Hole.
Maybe pull up the movie poster, the trailer, just so Shawnee can get a little glimpse of what I'm talking about here.
It's not going to be like a human centipede type scenario, is it? Or something?
No, but the title is pretty literal. Young boy named John, maybe 12, lives in a very rich, concealed from the rest of the world neighborhood in Connecticut, New England, I guess they don't really say. But discovers one day out on a walk, he's flying his drone around and his drone crashes. He discovers this bunker hole from old construction that never, for whatever reason, they didn't finish it. And that's a cool one, actually.
Is that a shot from the hole?
There's one where he's looking up. It's looking up at him from the hole. If you can find that one, Bush. Anyway, John literally and metaphorically starts having. It's kind of weird we're talking about this because of our prior conversation. He's 12 years old, so he starts discovering. At one point, he asks his mother, he's like, what does it feel like to be an adult? And so he's goes about trying to fill this hole he's got. He metaphorically is searching for something. And long story short, one night he drugs his family and drags them and puts them in the hole and kind of toys with them, leaves them there for like a week. And he goes about living on his own as like an adult would. And he kind of sees.
It's a horror movie. It's like a horror movie.
It's not a horror movie.
It's a thriller.
Maybe a thriller. At times hilarious though. I liked it, man. I got to say it was an interesting watch of a movie, because here's another thing I'll say. Longest movie before the title card comes up. Maybe in history, about 30 minutes before you see John in the Hole come on the screen.
Oh, wow.
And there's a weird twist that happens right at that 30-minute marker where you go, whoa, what's happening here? And I don't want to give anything away because it's like a brand new plot twist, but you're going, oh, it really makes you think about the movie and you're going, is this real or is that real? Or is this thing or is what's going on here?
Oh, like how much of it
is very unique movie. I don't want to say anything because I want to let people, because it's open to interpretation of what I think the ending is, what you think is actually going on in the whole thing. So I loved it. It was very odd. It was very unique. It was it had a good tone. This little kid was a great actor. This kid has already been I forget his name, but he's had a good resume already. Was very impressive. And I've never seen anything really like that before. Very interesting movie, hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. And I would recommend it. I think it's a cool take on this kind of genre where you go, I've just never seen anything like that before. And at times I was laughing. I was like, this is hilarious. This is fucking great.
I'll check it out, but I gotta be honest, the description freaked me out. Like anything with a hole and putting people in it really freaks me out.
It's not scary though. It's trust me, it's more of like a thriller. You're like, well, what's gonna happen next? It's not scary at all.
And it has like dark comedy elements to it.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, well, that's pretty cool. It's kind of interesting that you talked about like a little known movie because there's a phenomenon that I want to put out there to DYM Nation, the dimwits out there, which we appreciate each and every week. I have a question for you guys. Is this a thing? Because this is what I did. One of the things that I watched is a movie that I think I watched already, enjoyed, and then watched it again and forgot and didn't.
Who, you, my dad? You're getting old, pal. This is classic Joe Fiore written all over it.
There's a very good chance I watched it drunk, and that's what happened.
Okay.
So it's not entirely just me and my memory and me becoming an old man, which I am.
So it's a couple years old at least.
Oh, it's a good amount of years. It might even be from like 2015 or 14 or something. And it's on Netflix, and it's one that was recommended to me, and I think I watched it, and I remember being like, I like that, but I think I watched it maybe I half watched it the first time or something, because I go, I never watched. I went through again, and I go, oh, I never watched that, and I hit it, and then it kind of seemed familiar.
Original?
It was not. I don't think it was. I think it was I think it was just a limited release. But really, it's definitely a thriller, scary at times, but my kind of scary where it's like suspenseful. Like it's more suspenseful than scary. Really cool idea. And also like,
I guess.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get it, but you can. Yeah. You might get it. You're good at this.
Bird Box?
No, not Bird Box.
All right, keep going. I got one more. Thriller.
I don't know what,
You're
I don't know.
Thriller.
But it's also like, you might not even have heard of this. I don't know if I brought it up on the podcast.
Yeah, you said little known movie.
If I watched it already once, maybe once I say the name, you'll be like, dude, you watched that and we fucking talked about it. That's what I'm hoping happens. So I'm an idiot. But really, really solid. And also, man, there's a whole like, these limited release, like I guess you would consider them the independent thrillers like this, these suspenseful thrillers. A lot of them get it because, like, they're at the point in their careers where they can't have an ego and they just have to make the best possible movie so they're noticed. And a lot of them, if you find, will stick to an hour 30, hour 40. For the movie,
more than 100 minutes.
That's the sweet spot for these things. It's all you need to tell a movie.
That's my 100-minute rule for anything. Yeah. For a comedy show, for a movie, the 100-minute rule. That's
and the bigger you get, your ego's embraced, and nobody's going to tell you no when you're making a 4-hour movie. And when it's a thing, I'm thinking of Tarantino right away, but there's other guys who do the same shit. I started watching The Irishman and then 10 minutes in, I went, I can't invest in this again.
Right.
But anyway, so this one, I don't want to go all over the map. Do you want me to tell you the name of it? You want to try to take one more guess? It probably came out like 2000. It might have been like 2013. It's been around for a while. No name actors in it. I don't know anybody who I've ever really heard of in it. Shot really well. I'll give you this one hint. There's a color in the title.
Color in the title.
Yeah, because I don't think you're going to get it. So I'll give you a couple seconds.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't. Big Daddy.
And if you don't know even the name, the chances are I didn't see it. Maybe I just saw clips of it, and that's why I remembered something. The movie is Blue Ruin.
I have heard of it. I don't think I have seen it either.
Okay, I'll tell you right now. Well, I've seen it now once, possibly 2 times, and I enjoyed it. Like it's a good watch, man. It's a really good watch. So that makes me think I haven't seen it, and I might have seen on YouTube clips of it, and that's why I thought I saw certain scenes. Because certain scenes, I was like, I saw that, but maybe I just saw the scenes, and I was like, I got to check out this movie. Kind of reminds me of what you just said about John in the Hole, like independent movie, not pretty straightforward story. I don't know why it's called Blue Ruin. I can tell you a bit of the plot. It's a little bit revenge movie. It's
yeah, I'm reading it right.
It's got this guy who he has a very distinct look in the movie. He kind of looks like a couple of people, but he's not them. He looks like a couple of character actors I thought he was before but great acting, really great use of like not using dialogue, like still stayed interesting with barely any talking going on. And then it ramps up a little bit with the dialogue as you go on. But once again, like the adage of like, hey, put people, when you have these movies where like you don't recognize everybody in the movie, they comes off so much more believable and it's
I
so
don't
much
think
more
I've seen it.
enjoyable. Yeah, that's him. And I
All right, I'll add it to the list.
check it out. Blue Ruin.
All right.
I kind of I want to look up why it's called Blue Ruin, to be honest.
I don't know. Is it there a man named Ruin?
No,
Blue Ruin.
No, I know. Usually it's like that, like Good Will Hunting type scenario, like where it's like that. Good Will Hunting is still. I get the play on words with that,
Yeah,
but
title.
It's kind of a bad title. I actually it's yeah, like it's because you're thinking and saying a good hunting for goodwill, which is the one side, but then the other side of that pun is just
you're like, no, he's good. He's
Goodwill Hunting.
Right,
like, it's so patronizing and so weird to go. Good Will Hunting. Like it's like nobody like also it's creepy to be like.
I always thought it was he's good at heart too. Out of
Good Will Hunting. He's a good person.
Because his whole troubled background and everything.
Yeah, but it's very. I think it's too blunt in that.
Yeah,
in that side of
we're
things.
gonna make a whole federal case out of it.
Yeah,
because it's a shitty title, but
it's also a movie that's been out for 25 years and.
Yeah.
So
and two good indie recommendations.
Yeah,
some off the map. I could do more, but I know we're running close on the clock here.
We're going to close on the clock. We can save some for next week. My namesake of this week's episode, we can.
Let's get into that.
Did you watch?
No. I here's my beef with this. I'm not really.
You're not
a bad
guy. Yeah.
DC is Suicide Squad, correct? Yes.
Yes. So
all right. Now I love Dark Knight, obviously. I'm not much for the Marvel movies. I watched the original Suicide Squad on a flight home from Turkey, which
got panned, destroyed.
So I don't know why they keep making. I mean, it's crazy
because they
how
rebooted the thing.
So all right, well, lay it on me then, Big Papa.
So here's the thing. I don't know much. I didn't even watch the first one because I heard how bad it was.
It was not good.
This one, they jumped right into the action. There's something about DC where they do miss the mark a little bit. It was James Gunn, the guy who did Guardians of the Galaxy, who directed it. It was highly anticipated. It's good. It's good because it's an R-rated superhero movie. It's got a sense of humor. It reminds me a lot of The Watchmen, which I think you've seen.
The movie I hated. The series I loved.
But you've seen the movie. So it reminds me of The Watchmen, but it's definitely better. It's better than The Watchmen. The thing about Suicide Squad, which makes sense, is there's a military angle on it. But even the military angle that you have in Marvel, they still soften it. So even the Captain America, right? He was part of the army. He was a symbol of the army. Marvel has this great way of making it. Yeah, he was part of the army, but the army's secondary. At DC with Suicide Squad, they're like, you're on a mission. There's so many military logistics within the fun of the movie. And instead of them just being like, we're this rogue group and we're gonna the superhero aspect of this is gonna take over, which it does. Don't get me wrong, it's a little bit silly. It's fun. It's definitely funny.
Yeah.
But they have a lot. It's very similar to Guardians of the Galaxy and not done as well as that, but still good. And it's great for DC, like the DC side of things, which we talked about for. A lot on this podcast. We've had arguments with Nathan McIntosh about, whatever. I still think DC is the less than in when you're trying to convey a superhero movie. Not that they don't have gems. This would be in the basket of DC gem. Like, did it blow me away and make me go, oh my God, they figured out their formula? No, I don't think so. I think they still have the DC vibe to it that they just haven't gotten certain things right about these things.
All right. Well, maybe I'll give it a watch.
Saying that, also knowing
that being said, that I'm not Mike Lawrence. I'm not a guy who right.
Like, as far as canon goes and character, like, don't come to me for the official opinion on comic movies, because I just enjoy them as movies. Like, there's people who know there might be people who watch Suicide Squad and go, oh my God, they nailed this as far as the comic book goes, and they should be awarded for that.
I'll give it a chance based on your reco. One show I did a big movie theater show in Stone Harbor, New Jersey.
Talk about that before we go.
Well, it does relate to movies because our show was at 9:00 and great show, great turnout. Thank you to everybody who came. It was super fun. I love doing it in those little movie theaters. That's the second time I've done a stand-up show in a movie theater setting. They're great. I love it. It's so much fun. But the manager, excuse me, he came over to me. He goes, "Hey man, this movie's just running a little late, but it shouldn't affect us at all. We maybe hold the house for 5-10 minutes." I go, "Yeah, great." I go, "What is it playing in there right now?" He goes, "Oh, it's Suicide Squad." So I actually walked in. I saw the last 5 minutes of it.
Oh no!
It didn't change. I have no idea what went on.
And let's be honest, you'll probably not even see it.
It was just them on a plane, and he started to pet a rat. That was
that's the very, very end.
Yeah,
you're not
very,
gonna
very
miss it.
end.
Yeah.
And so that's all I saw of Suicide Squad. But it was kind of funny how you brought that up. And
to be honest, it's definitely a fun movie, and it's good. It's definitely good. It's just that with DC, I think you're expecting them to do what Marvel does, which they just haven't. But also Marvel,
I'll tell you this. I didn't hate Harley Quinn's movie. It wasn't great, but I didn't hate it.
I just wish that it was only her, and it was just I don't think that's the way that comic is built. I think it's the Birds of a Feather, whatever it's called.
I hear the cartoon, the Harley Quinn cartoon, is fantastic.
It's great. Well, they say that if you sit down and watch the Batman animated movies are known as some of the best Batmans. The diehards. They're when they talk about the best Jokers, they mention Mark Hamill for doing the voice of the Batman of the animated series.
Yeah.
But let's get out of here. We want to thank everybody.
Let's get the hell out of here.
I want to thank you guys so much for listening. It's so good that we have our little baby Andy Fiore back.
And little works for wear, but I'll be back and better than ever.
Oh yeah, dude.
What happened? You see a spider over there?
No, I have to put my plug in because
you started moving around like a cockroach was coming straight for you.
We're almost done. Let me let's do the plugs and everything because I feel like I'm gonna cut off out of nowhere because I have it out of the plug. Guys, thank you so much for listening. I am at Shawnee Time on Instagram and Twitter. Andy, you are
at Andy Fiore. That's ANDYFIORI. Thanks to Mushy Mike, our producer. Follow him at Mike V Suarez, and you can follow us at the DYM
podcast, and that's on Instagram and Twitter. And guys, this has been a blast. We want to thank you so much for listening. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. Also, hit up both of our serious shows. Mine's at Wednesday at 4 p.m. Andy's is at Thursday at 4 p.m. on Raw Dog 99. You guys are fantastic. We love you. Bye bye.